Alrighty, so welcome. Group coaching call sneaking in at the end of July. So I do love to do a group coaching call for the main WolfPack group because we have been sort of otherwise engaged with a 6-month mastermind that is just heading fast towards a close, isn't it, Shane Osman? Shane's been roaming in the mastermind. Jazz has sort of popped ahead in and out, and it's heading towards its closing. And so I've been pretty engaged in that. But I love to do this group coaching call to invite the other people that are in the pack to come and get some coaching. It is, I just did this little video. I did it sort of last minute, and Instagram and Facebook were kind of freaking out and wouldn't load my video and stuff. So I actually did it like 20 minutes ago, and just talking about what coaching is and why, right? Why coaching? And what I've learnt, yeah, this group is called the WolfPack. It's called the WolfPack for a very good reason, because I was a lone wolf, and I know that there are plenty of other lone wolves out there trying to do it on their own, right? Trying to do it on their own and having a lot of stuckness, repetition, and oscillation, right? And this is what I said in the video. You know, when things are kind of good, they're kind of good for a bit, and then they're shit, and then they're kind of good, and then they're shit, and you know, and just this oscillating way of being in the world, which is, it's probably the most destructive way, right? Because if things are just shit, then you're more likely to do something about it, right? If it kind of gets good, then you're less likely to do something about it when things are okay, right? It's like, yeah, things are okay, right? And then when they go shit, you're even more less likely to do it if you're in this oscillation pattern, right? So it's the worst thing, and I think I said to you guys in the group over the training, you know, when people say things are okay, it's like, oh man, yeah, because it's like plateau land, it's like okay land, it's like, you know, yeah, things are fine. What's that acronym for fine? Can anyone remember? It's some messed up thing like acronym that I can't, yeah, anyway, someone find it and chuck it in the chat box because it's a good one. So welcome everybody. Would love to just drop that piece in, that we're here, we come into these calls because coaching is a way to help us see ourselves, right? And especially when you're working with a trained coach, we can't see ourselves like other people can. And you guys have been, you know, having either a deep dive into this work or have had enough of a taste of this work to know that. Yeah, fucked up is the hang on, I'm gonna see the rest of it. Yes, fucked up, insecure, neurotic, emotional. That's it. Awesome. Yeah, I'm fine. It's what it's actually saying, right? So you guys have had enough of a taste to know that we can't see ourselves. We can see others though. You know, when you see a friend and it's like, oh my God, they're doing that thing again, right? So some other friend or your partner or your kid or someone's, oh my God, they're doing that thing again about you, right? So we want to know what that thing is that we're doing again and again and again that we can't see, right? That our friend can't see, that we can see. And having a coach reflect that back or help you to see it is gold, right? It's gold. It means that you're taking the fast track out of your stuff, out of what's going on for you, rather than taking the repetitive, stuck or oscillating route. So what's going on, people? I'm just going to grab my water bottle, but I would love to hear where you guys are at. Where you guys are at, what's alive, what's cooking. We've just come out of a mastery training, which has been pretty, yeah, and putting out a lot of a bite-sized package on boundaries. That's what I've been putting out to the world in terms of Man, boundaries are, and I just put up a post with a picture of the group that came through the training, saying that, you know, boundaries is where it is one of those vital parts in the beginning of the journey, in the beginning of mastery, right? In terms of our connection with ourselves, others, and everything else. So that's another thing that is definitely very much alive in me. So what's alive in you guys? What's happening? Jazz Matines.
Hi.
Hi, lovely.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've been coming back to. I remember when I moved to Taupo and I was in that new home with this flatmate, the woman, and we were coaching, you were coaching me, I was having coaching sessions with you, and I was like full steam ahead with this work, like magical opportunities and and then there was just um that fundamental what's going on the outside currently is distracting me so much, which was other people fully coming into my space and not being able to communicate. So I now am in a space where I've got new people coming into my life, and I've really been kind of investing in your boundaries work like this week as well, just reflecting and going over the material um, and just finding ways to communicate that this is not all right, and then just how often it's happening, especially with people. Obviously, like, most of the people in your life don't do this work. So it's like everything we learn, you're like, yeah, this is great. And we're in our little bubble where we're all understanding it now and working from that place, or interacting, not even working from that place, just interacting and relating with each other. Then you go back out into the world with your friends and your family, and it's like, ah, keep your needs over there. And, um, where's your bubble? I need my bubble all the time. I'm constantly like bubbling. Halfly pushing your bubble back and bringing mine here, and but it's become less stressful and overwhelming and more this kind of playful game, and I'm noticing that I am speaking my boundaries, but it just, when you start to learn you learn that you to embrace all your emotions and let them move through you, and then just focus. You realize how alive all your emotions are. It's like that with the boundaries. It's like, now I kind of just, I'm like, no, I don't want that. And I'm like, oh, no, thank you. Like, my boundaries are just kind of, I'm still figuring them out, like, it's immediate when I don't want something and I do want something, and I'm just straight to the point, and I'm like, oh. And that's the reflection that people are saying. My new friends are like, oh, you're just really clear with what you want and what you don't want. And like, yeah, sometimes it's a bit abrupt, but you get to the point. But then with the boundaries with myself, like, I'm just noticing how floppy they are still. Like, my routine, my daily routine, my structure, my life structure, like, it feels like at the moment like this uphill slog to have healthy boundaries with myself, like with routine and regularity, because that
Mm.
creates safety for myself, and that creates like a space for that my energy to come through. But if I don't create the routine and the structure, then I'm just constantly kind of like a bit unsafe in my own space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because your subconscious doesn't know that you've got it right. It's like when, yeah, I love this whole conversation. Yeah, and I'll come back to that point. It creates safety in yourself when you honor your own boundaries, your own internal boundaries, right? With yourself, in connection with yourself. Because if you just keep going over your own boundaries, right? If you make a commitment to, getting good sleep and, exercising every day, right? And you just don't do it, your subconscious is going, man, she hasn't got me. She hasn't got me. And then it's like that this feeling of unsafety comes because you flop, you're flopping around like a fish. And we were talking about this yesterday in the training about, how we call it in this work being creatively ruthless, right? It's like, man, if you're going to commit to yourself, right, to getting good sleep, to getting whatever time you go to bed, whatever time you choose to get up, doing a meditation or doing your choices every morning, because the choices are a big part of the creative habits that pull us into the creative orientation rather than the everything's shit orientation, right? Whatever it is that you're choosing to commit to, you choose to commit to, right? And you follow through with it. You don't give yourself a choice other than to do that. And these are personal boundaries in connection with ourselves. And it does create safety. It creates a reference point for your subconscious to relax and go, right? And working on your boundaries with other people is part of that, right? It's part of that commitment that you have to yourself. It's like, I know, it's like your subconscious is saying, I know she's got me, because she's going to say that that's not okay for us. Right? Because this is like your little internal team, right? And your subconscious is speaking for that. But it's only abrupt because, when you said it's abrupt, sometimes it's abrupt with your friends. It's only abrupt because they're not familiar with it, right? They're not familiar with someone saying, hey, you know what? That's not cool. That's not okay for me. It's like, whoa, holy, people don't talk like that, right? And the whole thing, the sort of essence of what you're saying is that when we work internally on our own boundaries and then we bring that externally with the people that are around us, right? We're setting a different standard, right? A different level with the people that are around us, and it's up to us to set that level. Because we're trained, right? To whatever degree we're trained, yeah. And there's a lot of different degrees in this group. Some that have had a taste, some that have really gone for like the deep dive and been on this journey for a while. But it's still up to us because we have more awareness than they do. Yeah. They're still coming from old programming around boundaries, which came from their parents, right? Which wasn't great. If you think about it for a moment, what your own parents' boundaries were they flip-flopping all over the place? Were they actually committing to themselves and holding to their own personal internal boundaries in connection with themselves, connection with others, or were they all over the place, right? And most of them were all over the place because we just didn't have this awareness up until now. We couldn't sit in Zoom, they couldn't sit in Zoom rooms and, grow and evolve. Yeah, it's up to us to do that now. So it's a great conversation, hey Jazz? I mean, we're by working on our boundaries in connection with ourself, we're setting a reference point of safety that our subconscious knows that we've got it, right? And then that informs the boundaries that we have with everyone else outside of ourselves.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it until just recently, that sort of like identity of going with the flow and being so flowy, and it has its place, but without the structure it's compromising. Like I'll wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I've got a free day, and then it's like sometimes that fits if you have just that's the structure for the day. But if it's often and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, like I'm going to do these 4 things, and then I'm like, ooh, shiny, and I don't do them.
Yep.
It's like, and that just is but that's okay because that's the flow of the day. And then when other people come in with their, I'm like, oh, I don't really want that, but it's happening. So
yeah
I'm just kind of like undoing an identity of who I thought I was.
Again. Yeah, and this is what it's all about, right? This is what this code, this work that we do here in the pack is all about. right? Just undoing, unraveling, detangling this identity that we've created for ourselves that doesn't support our highest potential. Because that doesn't support your highest potential, going, in the flow, right? Yeah, and people say that, right? I just want to be in the flow, or I don't like structure. And it's one of the things that we were talking about over the training over the last 4 days, in the training over the last 4 days, is, you know, people that don't like structure and that just want to be in the flow, right? What they're really saying is that they don't, they're not going to commit to themselves to engage their will, right? To create a different way of being in the world. They're not prepared to do that. Yeah. And it takes will. It takes will to set boundaries with yourself. It takes will to set boundaries with others. Yeah. You have to engage your will. And most of us have we've been extremely disempowered in terms of engaging our will, because our parents didn't want us to be willful, right? They wanted us to be controllable. Sit down and do as you're told. Right? Seen and not heard, all of that stuff, right? As soon as any child exhibited some will, hey, I want this, right? Boy, you were shut down quick as anything. So it's actually bad, right? It's wrong, it's dangerous as a kid to engage your will, because otherwise you're going to lose the love, right? Yeah. You want to be the good boy and the good girl, because we all wanted that when we were kids. Because otherwise we lose the affection, we lose the connection, we lose the love, yeah, we lose the validation. So as adults, we don't engage our will. And we've got to learn how to engage our will. And the most powerful place to learn to engage it is with yourself, right? Okay, I'm not going to give myself a choice anymore. And one of the things that I talk about a lot just over the last little while in yoga is it, right? It's like, I don't give myself a choice other than to do yoga every day now. Every day. And I was talking to someone who's my age, right? And I don't go, oh, my age. You know, I don't do that very often. But at my age now, if I don't do the yoga, I'm stiff and I'm in pain, right? And I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I want to be flexible. I want to be mobile. I want to feel amazing in my body. And yoga does that. And so I don't give myself a choice anymore. No choice. Do the yoga. There's the mat. Get on it. Right? It's like there's no choice. And actually, I think I picked up this book. I think it was in a session. I don't think it was in the training. It's called Sell Like Crazy, right? It's like a marketing book, and it's by this dude called Sabri Subi. And he's really cool. And he talks about the inner bitch, right? Your inner bitch. The inner bitch is the one that says, no, don't get up. Just stay here. It's warm in bed. Don't go and do the yoga. Just stay here. You need to rest. You've been working hard. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck off, right? Because this is keeping you small and in pain and alone and stuck and repetitive cycles and oscillating, right? You got to nail that little bitch to the wall, right? And tell her to, yeah, because that's the ego, that's the identity, that's what's keeping you small, right? And you got to put her in her place and say, no. I'm getting up and I'm doing the thing. Actually, I shared a video, I think it was on my stories, and it was so good. I loved this guy so much. He goes, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning to go for a run. Yeah, I run. And he goes, do you think I like running? I fucking hate running, right? But I get up because I'm committed to this choice of moving my body. And it was like the best video ever. I'm just like, my God, I love you, right? Because this is what it is. Yeah, we have to practice, we have to intentionally engage that will muscle, right? This will center, the solar plexus, part of our energy self, right? We have to commit to doing that. Yeah. And that's how things change. And if we commit to doing it ourselves, for ourselves and connection with ourselves, it's going to ripple out into our connection with others. So anyway, I'm in training mode. So what else is going on with you guys? I've just stepped out of this training. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's good stuff, but what else? What else are we? It's a great conversation, right? Boundaries. Yeah, will, engaging will, commitment to yourself. Yeah, what is it that you want and how prepared are you to go for it and create it? Because it's all about taking action. Yeah, something I was thinking about, just waiting for whoever's going to put their hand up. Just when I was in the bathroom before, I'd been having a couple of conversations with a friend, and it's like, and this came up in the training. It doesn't matter what you know, right? It doesn't matter. You can learn all the stuff around boundaries. You can learn all the stuff around awareness and engaging your will, but if you're not prepared to actually do it, then it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it's in the action that you take. Yeah, Leonie took some action. She signed up for the boundaries package, so she took some action. I loved the message that you sent. You're like, oh yeah, I'll sort it out tomorrow, and then you're like, no, I've done it now. I paid. I'm in, right? Which is awesome. So what's going on?
Yeah, I'm poor on boundaries within myself. And it came to light this weekend because I've got a son home sick with his fourth concussion, hasn't been to school really since term one. I've overcommitted myself in terms of the football club. So this weekend we had a junior festival that I had to organise. It's an inter-club festival. There was nobody afterwards to clean up, so I was there till 2:30 cleaning it up because it was only a morning festival. And I could feel myself getting really drained, and it's simply because initially I thought I'm just not assertive enough. And then I thought, no, it's more to it than that. I'm a yes person. I don't know when to say no, and I overcommit, get myself run down. Like, I had COVID 3 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to recover from it. And I just thought, it's all it is. I can't say no. And, even at home within myself, I go around and I do everything for the kids. I get their uniform out, I get their lunches organised. I do everything because I know it's going to get done. And I'm not going to get stressed out about it, which is a silly place to be in because it's not teaching them to be independent and to do things for themselves. But by the same token, I'm stuck because I don't want to go through that stressful period. And I think, each school holidays, I know I'll do it, but it never happens.
Mm-hmm.
I've plateaued. I just, like I say, it's that comfy zone.
Yep.
But at the same time, I've overcommitted and overstretched myself because I don't know when to say no.
Yep.
So I'm always saying yes to people. And then I think afterwards, why? Why did I say yes? I don't even enjoy doing it.
Yep.
And it's just because I can't say no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it, right? And you're not alone. You're not alone, and it's not your fault, right? Because most of us weren't taught how to say no powerfully when we were kids, right? And I don't know if you saw that little video. It's like, go and give Aunt Jenny a kiss. Go and give her a hug. Right? It's like, no, Aunt Jenny smells like wee. I don't want to hug her. Go and hug her. Right? It's like, man, we weren't allowed to assert ourselves and have sovereignty, right, over our own bodies. But why? Right? It's like, why can't we say no? That's one reason. What are we getting out of it is another reason, because there's a reason why you keep doing everything for everyone. Right? Yeah, there's a payoff is what we call it. And do you know what that is? Right? Why?
I like helping people.
Yeah. And what do you get out
I
of
really
helping?
enjoy helping people.
Yeah.
Enjoyment. Well, in theory, enjoyment.
Yeah, but is it really?
I like this. No, not anymore. It's gone too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we have these helping, overgiving, rescuing, because it definitely goes into rescuing and enabling people, right? Yeah. Why are we doing it? Why? Because we're getting something out of it. Yes, we think it's about enjoyment, but when it's going into martyrdom, right, and an inability to be able to say no, where we're just saying yes all the time, it's not about enjoyment, right? We're filling a need here, right? And we're reconfirming a belief here, yeah? And that's what our ego is getting out of it. Yeah, our ego wants to reconfirm the beliefs that it has about itself. Yeah. And when we're filling that need, it comes back to a belief as well. So what belief is running under the surface that you're testing here?
I have to have a little think about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a little think, because there's a need that is triggering this behavior, right? And keeping you in the pattern, that keeps you rescuing, that keeps you saying yes when you really want to say no, that keeps you people pleasing, right?
Need to be wanted.
Yep. Need to be wanted.
To be accepted. Yep.
Yep. Worth. It's worth, right?
Yeah.
You need to be worthy. Yeah. And you're testing your worth through your mothering, through your football helping, right? And every other person that you're helping as well. Yeah. Yeah. I've done it. I've seen massive patterns, dysfunctional patterns, that I test my worth through my work. I test my worth through my parenting, right? And I put myself into a martyrdom hole, right? Where I'm doing everything for everyone. It's over parenting, taking over responsibility for people. Yeah. It's like I can save the planet. I can save everyone in the world. I could, woohoo! It's like super Leone woman, right? And this is what it is. And when we do it, then we end up tripped into this cycle, right? We're testing our worth. We're trying to show ourselves as worthy, but it's never going to happen because our worth doesn't come from outside of ourselves, right? And then we stay stuck in this pattern, and the ego sits back and goes, see, told you weren't worthy, right? Because you end up in this resentful, over giving, exhausted, depleted, miserable, state. Yeah. And it's interesting though, isn't it? Because I enjoy helping people. It's like, no, you don't, right?
No.
you don't,
No.
Yeah. And it's like and this is the dysfunction, right? Like I was talking to one of my clients, this was years ago, and she was very overweight, had a problem with overeating, and I've done a lot of work around this for myself. I just love food, I'll just sit down, I'll eat like a whole king size chocolate bar. I'm like, that is not loving food. That is not loving food. Right? It's the food. When people love food, right? It's the taste, it's the texture, it's the delight, it's the, and the when you go to a restaurant, the portion size is like this, right? It's really small, but oh man, taste, flavors, explosion, right? That's loving food. Yeah. What she's doing is filling herself with the food so she can stop feeling the way she is, right? That's what that's about. It's not about loving it. It's not about the enjoyment of helping people. It's about reconfirming beliefs, right? Testing worth. Yeah. It's a big one. It's a really big one. And you're right, because when we do this, we disempower our children. Yeah. We disempower them. Yeah. We're literally taking their power away, because they need to do it on their own. And I was talking about this in the training. Hey, Shane, like I was in the supermarket with my boys, and they were talking about the stuff that they're going to put in their lunches. And the supermarket cashier said, what, do you guys make your own lunches? And they were like, yep. And she was like, I still make my son's lunch. I was like, oh yeah, how old's he? 26. He's 26 years old, and she's still making his lunch. Here you go, son. there's your lunch bag. It's like, what the hell are we doing here? And then we wonder why these men are out there in the world looking for mothers, right? They say they want a partner, but they don't. They want a mother to make their lunch. Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, what's the way out here? We've been talking, I love the way everything unfolds, right? We've been talking about in the beginning of this call about engaging our will, right? You got to stop doing it. You got to stop, right? Look up the video. I call it the Stop It video by Bob Newhart. Just type in Bob Newhart Stop It video and have a look at that, Leonie, and send me a message later after the call and tell me what you think, because this is what this is about, right? We have to stop doing this stuff. Yeah. And there was a video that Mel Robbins, she's really cool, right? And she said she was so done with doing everything for her family. She was just done. Yeah, like the dishes would just be there, and she'd go and she'd clean the whole kitchen, and then by the next day it'd all be the same, right? And she said, I'm done doing it. And she just left it. She just left it. And they had to actually sort it out. And she just left the house. Bye. And they eventually sorted it out, right? And the problem is that we step in and don't allow that to happen. Yeah, we're just like, well, I've got to do it, and we rant and rave while we're doing it, right? But what we're actually doing is trying to be worthy, right? We're trying to be seen as worthy. Yeah, yeah, and we want to know that we're doing that, because that helps us to stop doing it, because we never get our worth through these methods. Yeah, and I learned, you know, sitting at my desk when that little bitch in my head says, just another hour, just stay another hour, right? It's 1 o'clock in the morning, just another hour. And I'm like, you know what? No. And that's what I used to do. Yeah. So now I have to do yoga every day because too much sitting at my desk listening to the little bitch. Yes. So yeah, so have a little, you know, sit with those pieces and watch that video, because it's gold, right? This is engaging our will. Yeah.
Okay, definitely will.
Yeah. And here's another flip that I can give you. I made a choice that I was going to this is playfully, right? This is to playfully test my worth at how well I can look after myself. Right? Not through my work, not through looking after other people. It's like, how well can I look after myself? Right?
I can't.
There's a flip for you.
I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can and you will. Yeah.
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 But it's flipping it internally rather than externally.
Okay.
Yeah. So sit with those things. The boundaries that you've got will support that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. What else, guys? What else is moving? Yeah, I'm just looking at your message, Shane, your comment, seeking validation when it doesn't come. Got to do more and more and more to get it outside of ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Take your eyes off the other. Own life jacket first. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the oxygen mask in the plane, right? Yeah. We put ourselves first, and it's a huge one. Yeah, which I spoke about in the training as well, you know, like rubbish trawling our way through life, right? Doing everything for everyone else, yeah, putting our own needs at the bottom of the heap. Yeah. And all we're doing, yeah, because when we're parents, all we're doing is modeling that for our kids. So when they grow up, they're going to just do the same thing. They're going to put everyone else's needs ahead of their own, right? Because most of us grew up with martyr mums who just gave over everything for their kids, yeah. And so our kids will grow up doing the same thing. And the bow of the boat is the way that I teach it. It's like when we become the bow of the boat, right? We put our own needs first. We forge our path. We do what lights us up. We go for what's important to us and what matters to us, not what's testing our worth, right? And everyone else gets to enjoy the wake of the boat, right? Like we're, and the vision I have is my kids wakeboarding in the back, like woo, right? Mum is like, she's forging her path, she's doing her thing. Yeah, it's inspiring, rather than seeing a mum that just gives everything over, yeah, helping everyone else, yeah, not putting her own needs first. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, and we're chucking a spanner in these dysfunctional patterns, right? And really changing them up. Yeah, yeah. So have a good taste of that boundaries package, and then we can talk more. Shane, what's going on? I haven't seen you for ages. It's been so long.
Just can't get enough, eh?
I know, right? Good.
It was funny actually this morning. Like, because it turns out I'm going to go to Hamilton this afternoon. I got an appointment down there, and it's so cool to come into the school today, and with it all being about boundaries and stuff, and starting with the personal boundaries, and not in terms of relationship to others, but personal fucking boundaries for myself. For engaging that will, and some things on that, like, it's like pack. Nothing will fuck with pack. I'm in the way with that. And a few other things that I can hold a real powerful point for, and then other things, not so much. Like a yoga practice, nothing will fuck with that. When I was in Hamilton, when I was close to practice, but now where I'm out here, and it's like, oh, you got to really engage your will in self practice. It's like I've really struggled with it, and even in writing it down. So instead of just take one thing, all it needs to be is one thing. Start out with 5 minutes. Oh no, I've got 5 things on my list here, and just clocking that. Like, I had this tendency. It's like it's got to be all of it. Like, okay, tomorrow we start, and it's everything. We're in this thing, and it's like, fuck, that's that. Making something so much bigger. But it's like just being able to engage the will. Just pick one thing. Just go, fuck, man. It's just 5 minutes. You can do that. And I always know it's that stacking effect that we talk about, yeah. And the take the action on the smallest thing even. And it's like it gives the energy, and the other things just start falling in line. It's like, oh, I've got a duck back. One of the 4 aspects of alignment, powerfully brought one back on, and now all the other ones just seem to follow. So with that, it's like, so I'm heading to Hamilton, I don't know, probably about an hour and a half after this call, and I'd already made that. I was like, oh, maybe I'll stay 2 nights, and I'll do 2 practices while I'm down there, and then while I'm in a city, it'll be so much easier, I can do all these other errands and stuff. And there's truth to that, and there's so much sense. But because I was starting to add more things and make it a big thing, it's just like, oh, fuck, now.
Wow.
Just put some fucking clothes in a bag and get on the road and go down there. Just pack enough for a couple of days, see what happens. And I know I'll end up doing all those things. But at the moment, it's like, it's all this, and it's just what's first, what's the next step. Pack it up gear for 2 or 3 days and just fucking go. Do the first thing. What's first? My appointment tonight, and then a yoga practice. Everything becomes clear after yoga.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I love what you said, because got to make it simple, right? Otherwise it just becomes overwhelming. And just while you were talking, my yoga practice started with like 15 minutes a day, and that was it. It was just like, anyone can do 15 minutes a day, right? That's not if you put one of those things on your phone to see how long you're on your phone, It's hours when you actually look at it. It's hours. So there's no one that can say that they can't do 15 minutes of something a day, right? And I started with 15 minutes, and now I do like a 45-minute class in the morning, right? And I do like a 15 or 20-minute class in the evening before I go to bed. And I was like, if I had have tried to do that from the very beginning, there's no way I would have done it. Forget it. No way, man. No, no, but I was like, if I can just do 15 minutes a day, and the reason why I did it, and this is why when I did this video just before the call, why coaching, right? It happened because the yoga teacher said, she said, look, you don't need to come and do an hour every day, right in the studio. Just go onto YouTube. Here's the lady you want to look up. 15 minutes, done deal, right? If you do that every day, your body will be staying mobile and, flexible and not be in pain like I was. Like I was at the point where I was in pain and couldn't walk properly, right? My hip was really sore. I was like, fuck, I don't want to have a hip replacement in 10 years. That would really suck, right? I don't want that. So I'm going to do something about it now rather than 10 years down the track when I'm having to wait in hospital and get it. So keep it simple, because it probably will build up. But if you try and take on everything now, then you're not going to do it.
And that's it. It's like, trying to get clear and have all the things figured out. And it's like, just action can precede clarity. Sometimes it's just take that action on whatever the smallest thing is. And you just tend to find that the rest start following in. It's like, this is locked in now, it's like, it's a habit. It's everything.
Habit,
And then, over time, something can get added and something can, or not.
Or not. But like I sort of talk to people about meditation, about yoga. If you do 5 minutes of meditation a day, it's going to have an impact. 5 minutes, man. Yeah, like I've got this beautiful little meditation, 5-minute meditation that I do with my boys. Right? 5 minutes. It's nothing, but man, it drops you into that energy. You don't have to sit there omming, lotus position, levitating, for 5 hours a day. You don't have to do that. But, to actually put these things into your routine and commit to it and make sure they stay there, right? If they extend because you're feeling the benefits and you're like, man, this is gold. This is just such goodness. And that's how my yoga practice, which I never thought I'd like be a yogi and like be doing these binds and tying myself in knots, and like I can do bird of paradise, man, and that's like crazy pose, and I can do it, and I feel so empowered, so amazing, so good in my body because of it. But it started out with 15 minutes a day, and I never put pressure on myself to get to that point, right? And this is what we do. And Leonie, I was just thinking about it. It's like, man, if you dropped one thing off your list and got your kids to do one thing that you normally do, right? One thing at a time, and just get that in their routine, because it'll take a bit to get it in their routine, then it's going to set some powerful reference points that you can build on, right? Yeah, one thing. It's huge.
Holy shit, Jacqueline, if you're doing Bird of Paradise, this pincher challenge just got fucking real. When's the retreat? November.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we got a bit of a challenge that we're going to be able to do that freaky like shoulder arm stand, like not a headstand with a head. It's like you do it on your it's a forearm stand. I was like, all right, you're on, let's do that. So yeah, so the other thing that I was going to say, it's like the relationship with time, right? Because what you're tapping into, Shane, is like trying to do everything all at once, and then it just becomes too big. It's too overwhelming, right? We boil it down, right? We condense it. It's like we're putting it on the stove and making a sauce, right? We're condensing it, yeah? And just to what's here now, what's here today, like Leonie, what's one thing right? That you can say no to, yeah, is one way of doing it. What's one thing that you could say no to in relation to your kids that you're not going to do anymore? Hey boys, guess what? I'm not going to do this anymore, right? Whatever it is, and choose that and commit to that, right? And the rest will unfold. But if you try and think, oh my God, I've got to like nail my boundaries and I've got to stop saying no and I've got to blah, 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 and then the whole thing just becomes too big and too overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah. And this is what we do, right? It's called throwing ourselves into the future, which takes ourselves out of the present and it brings us into overwhelm, right? And then nothing gets done from that place. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. What else? What else is happening? Shelley. Hello, gorgeous.
Hello. Oh, I can't believe it. I was really lucky. I just saw the message pop up on my phone. I was like, oh, should I? I'm not doing anything. Let's do this. It's exciting. I'm just totally resonating with everything that you're saying. I always find that Te Tauhou, you know, like the Māori New Year, Puanga, Matariki, like for me, that feels like my reset. That's my New Year time. Like winter time is that time of wānanga where you're coming inward, spending time by your fire at home, and time in wānanga, time in reflecting, learning. And I've been like, I set myself like I love to go to bed early anyway, but I've set myself quite a strict goal of being in bed asleep by 10 p.m. I've like broken it a few times, but generally I think for the last at least 6 weeks I've been doing it, and I feel the benefits of that in my physical body. Like I'm still experiencing pain, but that's related to other things, you know. I've kind of like, I don't know, some of the things that I had on that I've been doing with my wānanga is I've been reading some of my key books again, and this is one of them that I really love. It's called The Body is a Barometer of the Soul. So be your own doctor. Yes, that one. Yeah.
My God, we're so honest with this group, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Bible. And I don't know, I just kind of like, I've been looking at like, you know, the things that show up, because our body is like, it's going to give us the clearest message if we listen. And so like the first thing that I've written down for my goals for moving forward is listen more and speak less. Be tolerant, open and non-judgmental. A really big piece for me at the moment is self-acceptance. And so kind of all of this boundary stuff that we've been discussing kind of really fits in there. You know, a situation happened the other day where I got offered an opportunity. I'm kind of at a crux with my work. Like I've had some very straight, clear conversations with two people, the two leaders of where I work at Flourish. And I was like channeling my wolf mama, you know, like in those conversations, and just being really open and honest and clear about what I want, even though I'm not quite sure. I sort of like, I feel at a crossroads. I'm not quite sure what's coming next, but it's not that anymore. And I was quite clear with them. I was like, I said, look, I'm just done with working in early childhood. I've let my teacher's registration lapse. This doesn't light me up anymore. I love being outside and with plants and the bees, and when spring comes, you know, I want to have that vitality back in my body. So what you've been discussing in regards to the yoga, and not letting because I let myself off the hook with certain things, but I'm very strict with other things, like, you know, that keeping it simple. And I was like, right, I'm just going to master this, going to bed, sleeping, getting that clarity, seeing how that settles my body back down. And I think I'm ready to bring in that next piece of the yoga. You know, my yoga teacher was away for 3 weeks, and I go to yin yoga with her every week. It's like a non-negotiable. It's because I get so much from it, and my body was sore while she was away a lot, and I was like, this is interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna I think this 15 minutes a day could work really well for me because I can be really strict with myself. Yeah. 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 Exactly, Shane. Yeah. So I think that we don't celebrate ourselves enough for the little things that we do that are the big things, you know, like those, you know, because that's, I find that having a good amount of sleep means that other things start to trickle in. You know, that clarity is there because you're not, yeah, it creates like a real platform for calm.
Yeah.
And once you're in a state of calm, I find that I make much better decisions.
Yeah, it's like, you know, a regulated nervous system. One of the things that we spoke about a lot over the training that we've just done was resourcing, right? Being able to resource ourselves powerfully in terms of our energy, boundaries is a part of resourcing, right? But just being able to look after ourselves, and you know, health has got to be at the top of the list. It's got to be. Our health and well-being is the most important thing. And it's taken me years to learn this, right? Because my martyr ways and, you know, putting my needs last. And to be able to look after ourselves, everything else just falls into place after that, right? But making excuses, right, which is what we're talking about in terms of this, you know, I was calling it the little bitch, but making excuses and just, that's not important. It's like, what are we making important? What is at the top of the list? And health has got to be at the top of the list. Yeah, because doing what we're doing here, you know, changing vocation, right, applying this work, changing, you know, chucking a spanner in terms of the dysfunctional patterns of the past that we inherited from our parents, that they inherited from their parents, all the way down the line, right? It takes will, and it's much harder to engage your will, right? To learn, to start to develop that skill of engaging your will if you're sick all the time, right? Or if you're exhausted all the time, if you're depleted all the time, if you're not looking after yourself. It's got to be at the top of your list. And I realized not that long ago that it still wasn't at the top of my list. And I love that these non-negotiables, right? Not negotiable anymore. Yeah. Because we're not doing ourselves any favors.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think in wintertime, I feel like because this has been like a cyclical thing, when winter comes, I go, yes, it's winter, time to come in. And I don't, like, you know, I have a tendency for feeling guilt about certain, you know, doing things for myself as well, because, you know, I've been a mother, and like you, Leonie, I did lots of stuff for my children, you know, but then I made certain stands, you know, like I remember my ex-husband's mum saying to me, oh, you know, why don't you make the kids' lunches? Why don't you make Kyle's? I'm like, well, he's a fucking man, adult, who's capable of like making his own food. Like, I don't need to do that for him. He's not a child. And at that point, I actually stopped making my children's lunches too. I was like, really? Why am I doing everything? You know, and you know, sometimes you just have to put that toe in and go, nah, I'm making a stand here, and people aren't going to like it, and you might think I'm a bitch, but this is the culture in my family. And I didn't do it in a nasty way, you know, but I was strong and so, you know, like because sometimes you have to make a stand, otherwise you just washed around.
You do. And you're standing for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Taking a stand for yourself.
Yeah, and also for the family too, for the family culture, for them to go, because we're teaching other people how to treat her. Hey, yeah, and don't get me wrong, like
Every single day.
don't get me wrong, I've been having, you know, I've got some personal struggles going on. I kind of like, you know, I often have but rears itself up quite regularly, and it's to do with my sexuality and my sexual needs and misalignments, and finding a solution, you know, like being committed to finding a solution. And sometimes when things get hard in that arena, I just step out and avoid it and try and take myself away and self-regulate rather than leaning further in to finding a solution. It's like I take the pressure off. You know, the tension's there, you know, where I currently am and where I want to go, and the tension's nice and tight. But then because it's not just, it's a shared, that sexuality is a shared space with different needs, and finding that place where there's I don't really like the word compromise, but I think a place where both people are winning, where you put the problem on the table. It's not mine or yours, but it's something that we need to look at together.
Yep.
You know, it's just an area that I think that's an area that I'm working in at the moment. That's a bit, you know, I get a bit wobbly.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Fear, I think it's fear of like, fear of my needs not being met, but not wanting to put pressure on the other person as well. So, and I know that a solution will come. Sometimes, you know, when I do lean in and the conversations happen, there's not a solution that presents itself, but I trust that it's going to come. So I know that it will.
Well, I mean, where do you've been in this work long enough that I can definitely ask you this question. Where do solutions come from? Where's the focus when the solutions come? Like the wisdom, the way forward. Because it's really easy to come into these sort of situations that are a bit sticky, right? But yeah, and focus on the problem.
Because I mean, you know, the solution's not going to come from the same place as the problem.
And it's not going to come by focusing on the problem.
No, it's not. And that's what I mean, is that's why I step away from it and try and kind of resettle myself and reorientate it and take a bit of perspective. Like, and so it's like I get a bit confused about taking off the tension, or just like, you know, like parking it almost and going, okay, putting a lot of pressure on that is not going to bring a solution about from that natural feminine state. Because, like, you know, like I find that things flow a lot better when I allow myself into that feminine state and to embody my true nature.
Yep. So what is it? Two sides of the coin, right? What is it that you want, and what are you afraid of?
Yeah. Good thing to do some journaling on.
Yeah. Because if you're not clear on what it is that you want, then it's really hard to have a conversation with a partner around that, right? What is it that you want? You know, what is it that you would love to happen or be happening? Yeah, really clear.
Yeah.
because what you're afraid of is getting in the way of that,
Yeah.
getting in the way of having the conversation, but also getting in the way of, it's like the fear of what might happen.
I think that what comes up is, I've obviously got some layers of shame around the intensity of my sexual needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I fear that's going to push the relationship away.
Mm-hmm.
And the loss that could follow. I think I'm scared.
Yeah. And that's why I asked the question, because before we were talking about going into overwhelm by taking on everything at the same time and bringing it into this moment and then freaking out about it, right, when we just focus on what's happening here. Yeah. And it's something that I mentioned in the call yesterday, when you just meet someone and you're all ready, but this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and then we're going to break up, and right, you haven't even had the first course of your first date dinner yet, right, and you're already going down this catastrophizing path of what might happen. Yeah, stay in the present moment.
Yeah.
Right? You have no idea what's going to happen, but we bring in the past experiences and they pollute the present moment. And have the conversation.
Yeah, I think it is. You're right. It's historically the things that have happened in the past with different people, and I have to remember that this is not that. This is different. This is unique.
Yeah.
And the patterns of the past don't have to repeat.
No. And these conversations, when we are choosing to relate in the way that we choose to relate when doing this work, right? It includes the fears, right? It includes the desires, right? It includes the vision of what you would love, right? Both sides of the coin. Yeah, this is what I'm terrified about, and share it. Yeah, and this is what I would love. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. We've got to, have focus on both of these sides and bring them out into the light, because otherwise the dysfunctional, or the fears, the beliefs, the shitty side of the coin, is we're feeding it without even knowing, and it's not being brought to light, so it has the power. And most of the time we're so focused on that side that we never actually go to the other side and think, well, what do I actually want here? What would I love to experience here? Yeah. And then, because this is in relation to a partnership, then the partner never has an opportunity to say, hey, look, I can support you in that. Or I can't support you in this bit, but how about this? And, then the ideas start to come about how you could get what you would love.
Yeah, being brave to not even brave, but actually just stepping in, rather at times when the natural instinct is to
Step
move
out,
away,
run away, get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, this could get really messy, but also messy is good.
Okay, I got another thing, because we're in definition land now, right? Whereas, oh my God, I need to be brave, I need to be courageous, or I need to be this, I need to be that, and the conversation's going to be messy, it's going to be hard, it's going to be blah, right, or whatever. Yeah, and
definition land, I like it.
We're in definition land. Definition land does not help us.
No,
it doesn't help us, because then it creates the experience that we're going to have. And I shared a little story with my big boy, because in the car after the school holidays had just finished and he was back to school, Mum, this term is going to be really hard. And I said, if that's going to be your story, then that will be your experience. Right? How about we create another one? And I used the little bitch as well. I said, how about you nail this term to the wall, right? The school term. How about you nail this term to the wall and make it your little bitch? My 16-year-old was like, yes, I'm going to do that, right? And because I'm using language that he connects to, right? Now that I've stopped making swearing bad, and you know, we actually enjoy it in our household, which I never thought I'd do, you know, because bum used to be a swear word when I grew up. But we've got to get out of definition land. So what I want you to do, Shelley, is I want you to sit in a quiet space, and I want you to visualize how this conversation is going to go. Right? I want you to go through all of the details. I want you to say, right, I'm going to share all my fears, right? And I'm going to bring that energy, and I'm going to engage my will, and I'm going to lean in. I'm going to step forward, and I'm going to be this person that, you know, that you want to be, the courageous, the brave, right? All of that, you want to bring that energy, and I want you to visualize it. Yeah, see yourself doing it, and then see yourself sharing what you would love, right? This is the vision that I have for our connection, right? This is the vision that I have for myself to start to peel back these layers of shame that I have around my sexuality, and I want to open a space where I could do that with you, right? And share all of that and visualize the whole thing, because then that will be your experience. Otherwise, the definition land will be your experience. I mean, it's your choice, but I know which way I'd go, right? I know which way I'd
I'm
go.
totally gonna do, visualize the whole thing.
Visualize the whole thing. See yourself going through it, right? Because that's what's going to create it. Yeah. And we don't do this enough, right? We don't do this nearly enough. Most people don't do it at all. Yeah, Olympic athletes visualize the whole race from start to finish. They see themselves crossing the finish line. They see themselves executing the perfect dive, right? This is what they do, and this is why they're so damn good. We don't do this, right? Like, my kids come home from school, and when I was just beginning to start practicing this work, I would imagine them, I would see them as these powerful beings. I'd see them in their greatness and in their, right, before they even stepped through the door. And then they step through the door, and that's how I see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do it from a standpoint of your own greatness first, right? Yeah. So bring yourself into your own greatness, your own power, right? Visualize yourself in that space, and then, yeah, play out the whole conversation. Yeah, these are the skills that we weren't taught, because we were conditioned out of our imagination from a very early age. Yeah, because our parents didn't know that it's our gift. Yeah, it's our life force. It's our fuel for creating a life that we would love. Beautiful. Yeah, glad you came, eh, Shelley? Right. Anything else, guys? What else is starting to bubble up? Noticing. Any threads that you want to talk about more? Something that's landing, something that you want to know more about?
Yeah, I'll just speak into it a little bit. It's like you know, yeah, probably 2 points. Going back to the boundaries piece, you know, and having those strong zones with self first, you know, going all the way back to level 1 connection and stuff. And they're like a set of sacred agreements, you know, that you have with yourself to do that practice, to do that. And the follow-on effect from that is it actually leads me to set strong boundaries outside and dealing with other people, because I'm like, I've got my non-negotiables in here, and then that gets transferred out there when something comes in. It's like, nah, I have this bound, you know, this sacred agreement for myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize probably just how much that had filtered out. And I had someone reflect something to me the other day up here in the community, and they're like, man, we were talking about you the other day, and you're like, you got really strong fucking boundaries. And I was like, oh, thanks. because of the tendency to sort of get a bit dark on myself for not doing the reading, the choices, the meditation, the yoga, the sleep, and the water now. It's like, well, just clocking shit. Where's my focus on that? The things that I'm not doing, the things that I are doing, and then just introducing from that mindset.
Yeah.
That's been really gold today.
Yeah.
And other part, yeah, thanks, Shelley, for your vulnerability and bringing that to the table. That was beautiful. And yeah, I can yeah, move through a lot of that stuff, I guess, in my own sexual intimacy, and going, like, coming to a point in my life and just going, fuck, what do I actually really want to experience? Like, what are the things where I don't want to get to 70 when I'm old and crusty and go, oh, fuck, I missed my chance on that stuff. This is my life. And especially when there's edgy stuff and there's things with shames involved in. And it does definitely lead to some beautiful, courageous conversations, that's for sure. And I found getting, yeah, it's not so much about the end result of, like, necessarily what the thing is that I may want to experience and my partner wants to experience, but it's that beautiful, it's like the journey to get there, the conversations and creating that container. It's like, that's it. That's the thing. More often than not, it's like the vulnerability and the connection and everything that comes from that. And I like to bring in, the wheel of consent into it. And it's like, well, shit, this is what I love and what I'd really desire. And it's like there's the safety, and it's like someone's either in consent for that or not, and to honor that boundary with them. And that's fine, that's okay. It's like, yeah, I'm either into this or I'm not, or it might be an edge. And yeah.
Yep, so much, so much goodness and beauty and pleasure to be experienced, right? And in terms of just that last bit with what you were sharing around the no regrets, and because I had the same thing coming out of my marriage, and I was just like, I don't want that part of my life to be over, right? I don't want to not have experienced deeply, yeah, these deeper levels of connection, of intimacy, and because that is intimacy, right? And one of the things I wrote down is, we take the power out of the fear by sharing it. Yeah, when we bring our fears to the table and go, man, this is what I'm scared of, this is what I'm terrified of, this is what I'm worried about. Right? And even going back to talking with my kids about being over responsibility mum, like I just shared that with them. I'm like, man, I take on the responsibility for everything and everyone, and and I just like it turns me into this exhausted mum, and I don't want to be that for you guys. I want to be this playful, light, fun mum, and I'm just not that. And I just talk to them really, really openly. But we take the power out of the fear by sharing it. That creates the vulnerability. It creates the intimacy.
And the intimacy that's created with the vulnerability and the de-armoring, that all happens in that space. If it's treated with care and sacredness, it's like that precedes the level of intimacy quite often that's needed to go somewhere that's quite edgy and beautiful, and that depth of that physical connection
Absolutely.
precedes it, and it creates it at the same time.
Yeah, it creates the safety because you're allowing yourself to be seen, right? And the other person's allowing themselves to be seen as well. And that's what intimacy is, right? It's this misunderstanding that sex is intimacy and intimacy is sex. It's not. They're two very different things. You can be intimate with somebody that you're not having sex with because it's about being seen. It's about being vulnerable. It's about being open. Intimacy, right? Intimacy. And sex it's a very different thing, right? You can have zero intimacy in sex. Yeah, I've definitely had sex where there's been zero intimacy.
Mm.
I can be deeply intimate with someone that I'm not having sex with, right? So love, sex, love, intimacy, three very, very separate things. And I pulled them apart so that I could explore them, right? And then you can bring them back together. You can bring intimacy into your sexual relating, right? You can bring your sex into your intimacy. So it's a thing. But one of the other things that I wanted to share just off the back of what you said, we're not going for perfection here, right? When you sort of rattled off your list that I've got to get my water and I've got to get my yoga and I've got to get, it's like, man, when we do this work and we stand for our level of commitment and our boundaries with ourselves and engaging our will, and we are going to lose it, right? We're going to fall off the horse. We're going to come out of alignment. We're going to stop doing yoga for a bit. We're going to and it's human, right? We are just, man, if it's one thing that I've learned through this work, we're so incredibly human. We're going to lose it, right? Even if we build up to a point where we're like, something's going to knock us off. It's just how fast can you get back on? How fast can you see that you've lost it, right? Because here's a good story to illustrate it. I used to teach hypnobirthing, right? So I was a hypnobirthing practitioner, because I didn't want to be at the sort of trauma end of birth, right? Which is a place that you can end up if you want to be in the birthing area, realm. But I wanted to be at the proactive end, yeah. And I got that intuitively even before I was working with intuition, right? Even before I knew this work about focus and where am I focused. But I remember talking to someone, she said, oh yeah, I did hypnobirthing, but I didn't have a hypnobirth. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, it wasn't all perfect and roses and essentially it wasn't perfection. And I was like, who did you work with? Because that is not hypnobirthing, right? Because she ended up with a C-section, and because a whole series of events ended up in a birth that wasn't like this serene water birth that that can be the goal of women that come and do hypnobirthing, or women that want to birth in a different way. And I'm like, that is not the goal, right? The goal is, how did you carry yourself? How did you hold yourself in the circumstances that you were in? Like, women who end up with C-sections can still have a hypnobirth, yeah? If they were calm, if they were inward, if they were, they were using the tools that they were taught to keep them in an empowered space, even with what was going on around them, right? And it's one of the reasons, even with all of the awareness I have and the work that I do and the clients that I coach, right, and what I coach them in, my kids still go to mainstream school. Yeah. Because if I put them in a little bubble, right, which I did for a while, like my little guy went to Steiner, and because I was the spiritual mum and all of that stuff. And I was like, well, hang on a minute, why am I doing that for a start? What's that about? Where is that coming from? Right? What's driving that? Yeah, fear that they're not powerful enough to hold themselves out in the world. Yeah, they go to a mainstream school because they're powerful. Yeah, and if they're powerful enough to hold themselves in the system, like, right, then they can hold themselves anywhere. And that's what it's about. Because the world is not perfect, man. It's chaos. It's chaos out there. It's nuts. Yeah, but how powerfully can you hold yourself in that so that the chaos is like, and you're like, and that's why we start with connection with self, right? Because then everything else can be flying around, but we're solid. We're solid. And part of that solidness is the understanding that sometimes we're going to lose it. And that's why we stay connected to the work that we're doing, right? The premises that we learn, the people that we learn it with alongside, because the community is a huge part of this. I know, Jazz, when you said, you know, you go out there in the world and, you know, everyone else around you isn't doing this work. I mean, everyone that's around me is doing this work. Like I surround myself with people that are doing this work because that's important to me. And that's why I share it with everyone as well, right? And if you're not sharing this work with the people that are around you, then you're going to be faced with that every time, right? People that aren't doing this. Hey, I've learned this cool stuff. Yeah? Come and have a taste. And that's not and you know, my old way would be that I'm trying to fix someone, right? You need to do this work. There's something wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, man, I've done this cool stuff. It's blown my world open. Oh my God, right? Do you want to come and have a taste? Do you want to come and check it out? Right? Very different energy. Yeah? It's not there's something wrong with you, you need to fix yourself. It's, oh my God, this is what I've experienced. I think you'll love it. Really different. Because we want the people around us to be on this level, right? To be doing this stuff so that we can talk about it with them and we can have these conversations and we're not the only one just leading it, right?
I feel like I have been doing that, and it's been good because the people around me are like, you know, like my friend's been doing the Land of Plenty, and because she was like so in her shit for like, she's a new friend, but she just really wanted to be in all her emotions. And I was like, are you open to like another way? And I spent like 10 minutes just explaining the deconstruction process. Oh no, the victim, and I think I took her through the deconstruction process and then the victim and creator. Yeah, so like people around me are like, wow, yeah, you know, like learning it and taking it on board.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like I have, yeah, I suppose I'm not around people that are like really in it. So can you introduce me to some, please? Now that I'm in it, can we hang out?
Well, there's a few here. You met a bunch at the retreat as well, but yeah, you know, it's like we need to be intentional about who we're surrounding ourselves with, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and even to the point of family, I mean, that was a post that I put up around promoting the boundary stuff, right? Because a lot of people will keep these toxic family members around them because they're family. I mean, it's not like you can chuck your kids out, right? I mean, you know, that's not so, even though as much as you might want to do it sometimes, and I've definitely wanted to do it at some points with mine. However, with children, they're a direct reflection of you, right? I mean, if I got really down to the wire, everyone is a direct reflection of you. And when you work internally, the external conditions start to change. Different people start to show up in your world, right? And then you notice them, you acknowledge that, and you welcome them in when they do, right? And the other ones just start to fall away. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit more intention. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna, and this is boundaries again, right? I'm not tolerating that anymore. I'm not gonna tolerate people that treat me like this, whatever this is, right? And in a way that you are no longer okay with. Because as Shelley said, we teach people how to treat us. And if people aren't treating us in a way that we want to be treated, got nothing to do with them. It's what you are allowing. It's what you are tolerating. And it's up to you to change that. Because no one else is going to do it. We have to tell people what's not okay for us. Yeah. And the sooner we do it, and this is what's in this boundaries package that you know, that kind of we started talking about with this call. The sooner we do it from a place that isn't reaction, Yeah, because it's one of the things that I've learned around boundaries is that when you're doing it from reaction, it doesn't end well. You want to get them in early. But what that means is you've got to know what's okay for you and what's not okay for you. Not when it's actually happening, yeah, and someone's coming too close, someone's doing something that you're not okay with. You know, most of the time we're so in it that we're not aware. But if we get it early and we set the boundary before the reaction comes in, right? Then boundaries are not set from a reactive space. They're set from a proactive space. Yeah, because we've all got things that we don't want people to be doing, right? That are not okay for us. And we need to get really clear on what those things are and what we're no longer willing to tolerate. So maybe just as a little piece of homework from the call, what's maybe 5 things that you can think of that are just not okay for you anymore, that you're not willing to tolerate. That can be from yourself, right? It's like, okay, no more staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting at my desk, listening to that little inner bitch telling me to, whatever it is. 5 things that you're just not okay with anymore, that you're going to be claiming back. All right, your kids' bedtimes, when they keep coming in or they keep, man, you've said goodnight to them 50 times already, right? Whatever it is, yeah, that you're not okay with, that you're just, right, there's the line. I'm not doing that anymore. Right? Maybe it's the way your sister talks to you, yeah, whatever it is, because you've got to know it before you can do something about it, because otherwise when it happens, then you're in reaction, right? Losing your shit or swallowing your words and, withdrawing and not saying the thing because you're trying to keep everybody happy and not saying no, Leonie, right? Yeah. So add them in and add them, maybe, look, I'll put up a post after this. I'll put the video up from the call, and under that, put some comments and just list the 5 things that you're not going to tolerate anymore, right? That you're done with. Yeah, the things that are not okay with you, either from yourself or in reflection to other people. Yeah, maybe do a few for yourself and a couple for other people. Whatever comes though. And if you end up with a list that's all other people, then have a little deeper look and bring that back to yourself, because there'll be ways that you're not honoring your own boundaries and connection with yourself that are impacting those things. Yeah. Cool. All right. Good call, guys. Okay, so there will be one of these every month, right, where we gather together. Boundaries package is last day today, so Leonie, you got in quick. If there's anyone that you would like to share this knowledge with, there is a boundaries packet for $97 package, right? $97, where they're going to get a taste of the beliefs that drive the boundaries, the first foundational level of boundaries, and then the next level boundaries, right? And there's 3 meditations in there as well. It's a really, really powerful package of work for $97. It's an absolute no-brainer. So if you can think of anybody that you would like to share that with, let me know. Yeah, you can either connect us or ask me for something that you can drop in front of them and say, look, man, this has like changed my life, so I think you'd love it. It's as easy as that. And until then, we're going to close this call. We're going to howl it out, because that's what we always do. It's connecting, it's fun, it brings us together. We get to open our vibrational
generator,
right? And because this is how we say no, Leonie, comes out of here, right? We want to empower ourselves in that area, and we do it in many ways, and doing a wolf howl is one of those. So take yourself off mute and let's howl it out, and we'll close this.
Don't blame me for
I just love it every time.
Ah,
Right, beauties. I will look forward to seeing all of your comments on the thread. I'll get it up as soon as I can. And please share these things that are not okay with you, that you are claiming your power back in, because if you can't see it, then you can't do anything about it, right? You're making a choice for yourself here. And we're going to support you by holding you accountable and receiving it from you. All right, beauties. Sending lots of love. The unbendable arm. Where's your focus, right? Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. Lots of love. See you on the next call. See you in the group. Looking forward to hearing your
see
comments.
ya.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.